What is up, guys? We are back. It's me, Mocha, and Cheezy back with the eighth podcast. It's been a couple weeks. Took a little bit of a break, but we're back now. We're gonna be getting into. We have a lot of action to get into since we haven't really made one since the league started. Um, it's
Strictly
week.
legacy this episode.
Yeah, we're gonna talk so that we don't ramble on too long. Just gonna talk about Legacy in this episode. Get to Pandora next episode. Um, but jumping right into it, we can just talk about what we see in the league after 7 weeks or 8 weeks. We're in week 8 right now, but yeah. All right, what do you see atop let's go. You talk about the AFC, and I'll talk about the NFC so far.
Talk about the AFC, huh? All right. Well, at first place, no shocker, it's Trey, 7-0, Baltimore Ravens. They've had a perfect start, and I think we all kind of saw that coming. I mean, Trey is virtually unstoppable. Kush is also, as of now, he's 7-0. He took out slowly earlier today. And they will be playing each other next week. I wish that was game of the week for tonight, but unfortunately the schedule didn't line up with Saturday. So I'll definitely be tuning into that game. Kansas City, as I predicted, is at the top of the crazy AFC West with a 6-1 record. Chef trails by a game. He's at 5-2. I'm 2 games down at 4-3, and Lampard is 3-3 at the bottom of the division, which is a big surprise. I don't think anybody, including himself, expected that. And then the quiet AFC East, the Miami Dolphins, Drew. He's had a huge start so far with a 5-2 record. He has I believe it's a 3-game lead over the division right now. So we've seen a bunch of different things in this AFC. Big shocker to me, Grady has a 2-5 record. He hasn't had a good start. He sits at the bottom of his division. Mufasa in third place. He has a 3-4 record, also not a very good start. So there's definitely a lot of surprises here in the AFC. It's been a wild first half of the season, in my opinion, in this conference.
Definitely has lived up to the expectations, in my opinion, um, of all the competition in the AFC, kind of beating each other up. But moving over to the NFC, we got yo boy at 6-0, top of the NFC. You know the conference is pretty weak when I'm up here, but we got Brian with the Cowboys 6-1. Um, sorry I had to hand you that 1L, Brian, but it looks like you're thriving on after you took that. And then a bit of a surprise, we got Prince with the Packers at 5-1 atop his division, atop a division that has Nick Ant on the Bears and Sully and the Lions in it. He's been balling out 5-1, and then we got Elliott 4-2, making a resurgence after being gone for most of last Madden. And then we get a little bit of a drop off into kind of close to 500 teams. Got Brad 4-3, trying to catch up to Brian in the NFC East. You got Mo, who started off 4-0. Me and him both started off 4-0 in the NFC West. He's dropped his last 3 games though, 4-3 now. including one to me last week. Suck it, Mo. Uh, I got Blazing Kane 4-3. Um, Let me check his record really quick because I'm pretty sure he started out 0-2 at least. Yeah, he lost to me in week 1 and then Brian in week 2. And since then, he's gone 4-1, including wins against Prince, who was 5-1 on the Packers. So he handed Prince his only L. He beat Nick, and he beat Soli last week. So he has some pretty big dubs in there. Looks like he's climbing back after that rough start. Nick, a little bit of a shocker. Normally a contender at the top, 4-3 right now. You got the Rams at 4-3. The Panthers at 3-4. The Niners at 3-4, and then a bunch of bottom feeders. No, but what one shocker is Soli is 1-5. I know at least I think like the first 2 weeks he had to take force losses because he was out of town or didn't have internet or something like that. But I mean that's not really an excuse for going 1-3 since then. A little bit of a shocker he's down here, but he might be able to bounce it back later.
1-6 actually.
Oh yeah,
he
right.
He lost today.
Yeah, he lost to Kush earlier today, so he's actually 1-6. That's really tough to come back from. I don't know like I know on like NFL broadcasts sometimes they'll when they're talking about records they'll be like teams that start 0-2 only have a 30% chance of making the playoffs. I don't know what the percentage of a 1-6 team is making the playoffs, but it's gotta be like, I don't know, 3%. But I think Soli can bring it back. So overall, a lot of people seems like we got only one undefeated team in the NFC. 2 undefeated teams in the AFC. I'm not sure if that's better than normal. Is that like... Do you remember last year if that's like...
I'm not quite sure. I would probably say the most realistic one here is Trey being undefeated. It's usually just the case. Kush being 7-0, I don't think we expected. As good of a user as he is, I didn't think he would start out flawless. Definitely didn't think your ass would start out flawless, but here we are. I'm not sure about the answer to that question. I just kind of think the way things have worked out has gone in Trey and yours and Kush's favor as far as winning games. I guess if that even makes sense, but it's definitely cool to see. I mean, one of those teams will not be undefeated next week unless there's a tie, which is super improbable, between Baltimore and Indy. And I mean, looking at your schedule, you still have to play. You have to play Mo one more time. You have to play Brad. I think that's going to be a tough game for you. And Timbo is... Who's the Rams in Legacy?
Alex.
Is that Timbo or is it Alex?
It's Alex,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Alex, that should be a good game for you. Oh, you play him twice still. Okay. Do you still... You kind of have a weak schedule. Not to like downplay your 6-0 record here. Your schedule's bottom tier, I guess, but you still have some good games on the schedule. I could probably see you finishing like 13-3, 14-2, the way you've been playing. I don't know
Yeah,
if you
definitely.
agree with me.
I was just gonna say if we go through the rest of the undefeated teams' records, I mean, like you were saying, I got Alex twice, who's 4-3 on the Rams. Mo one more time, who's 4-3 on the Cardinals. Brad, who's 4-3 on the Eagles, but he's always really, but you always got to treat that more like he's a better record than that, just a better user than that, I think.
You
Um,
play Calc as well. I know he's 0-7, or that team is 0-7, but that's a sleeper game.
right, yeah, you definitely can't sleep on that game. Even the Niner games, Pollux was winning some games. I think he's dropped the last couple, but he was winning a few at the beginning. I feel like
Okay.
those will be a couple tough matchups, but for sure, the rest of the way, if you look at it from like a really like who I'm scared of um, perspective, probably Brad is the one I'm most scared of. I beat Mo relatively handedly, I think, and I think he's probably the next toughest matchup on the rest of my schedule. So I think well, okay. I only beat him by 3, but I was ahead by like 17 points at one point, and he just sort of like started coming back then. But we don't talk about that. So, um, as far as like the Colts and the Ravens going undefeated, I mean, obviously they play next week,
I'm
but
looking at Baltimore's schedule right now. They got Indy next week. That's going to be a good game. I would probably put my money on Trey. Probably like a 6-point game, a 3-point game, something in that range. He still has to play Tennessee. He has to play Bryan week 13. Plays Grady the week after he plays Bryan, and then he's got to play Mufasa one more time. So, and Calc. So he doesn't have an easy schedule, but as far as going undefeated, I could probably see him dropping one game out of these next 8, 9 games that he has left. So 9 games left. So I could probably see him dropping one. He probably just ends up playing bad that week, or his opponent has a monster game. I'll say he drops his week 17 game because he's playing his backups. That's what I'll go with.
yeah, playing his backups versus Mufasa. I don't know though. We had him as a game of the week last week, and that was he could have won with his third stringers out there. It looked like. uh, yeah. But other than the Ravens versus Colts game, which I really think could just go either way. Um, yeah, on both like Kush has a really tough schedule after Trey. He has to play
Yeah,
Colton and the Titans right afterwards. Then the 5-1 Packers after that. Then Colton again. And then in week 14 against Lampard, and even in week 16, he has to
got
play
that
the
Steelers
Steelers
team,
user
that,
who's
that
been
sleeper team.
yeah, yeah,
They sit at
Steelers,
second in that division.
right. Um, yeah, both these teams have to face some pretty good opponents. And I mean, obviously, one of them has to not be undefeated the rest of the way, playing each other next week. I really wish that could be the game of the week. Maybe we'll find, or at least, yeah, I don't know. Maybe if there's a way we could broadcast that, but I'm assuming everyone will just be watching it anyways, whether it's broadcast or not, unless they play at a really obscure time. But
Do
yeah,
we want to make some mid-season playoff predictions here, or do you want to not do that?
I think that's fair. Yeah, I'd like to do that. I
Okay,
mean,
I'll let you go first.
all right, yeah. As it stands now, I mean, you gotta have Trey winning the North, Indy winning the South. I in the before the season started episode said that I thought Colton would take it actually, because I didn't think Kush would be able to just go run off 6-0 on the Colts. base Colts, but um, it's not a
Here
bad
we are.
roster. But yeah, I mean, but he's done it. He's playing really well. They do play twice in the next 3 weeks, so if Colton could beat him twice, that'd be huge. Because Colton's pretty close behind, but 4-2. But then you got Kansas City at 6-1.
I
I have to
am.
say, yeah, he's probably gonna win the West. He's playing really well. His only loss is to Trey. Um, and then Miami has to win the East. There's no, the other three teams in the East are,
Struggling.
three of the they take up three of the bottom six teams in the AFC.
They
So
have a combined record of 4-16.
yeah, I don't really see him losing the division, even if he stumbles to like a 9-7 record, which I think he'll do better than actually, because he's 5-2 right now. But then the wild card teams, that's interesting. We got, I think, right now we got Denver, Tennessee, and you on the Chargers, as the current uh, wildcard teams. Some people in the chase are Lampard at 3-3, the Steelers at 3-4, Mufasa at 3-4. But I definitely think Colton's gonna take one. I feel like Chef's playing really well. He'll take one.
Here it comes.
And then I don't know, man. Wait, okay. Actually, though, I'm gonna look at your guys' schedules really quick. I want to see between you and Lampard who you
It's
got left on the schedule.
I got to play Lamp twice. I got to play Cool Breeze one more time. I still have to play Chef twice. And then the rest of my games outside of my division are not too great. Oh, I still got to play Blaze and Kane. Okay. But other than that, like I don't have a wild schedule. It's doable.
I'm looking at Lampard's schedule. He only has one game I would consider maybe a gimme, and even that one's against Bobby, who's 1-6, but he's still a good user. But other than that, he's got Chef twice, Cool Breeze one more time, Blazing Kane, Grady, you twice, or you twice, and then Miami, and Kush.
I
I think I'm gonna have
that's
to go
hard
with you just based on how hard Lampard's schedule is. Holy shit. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Lampard's gonna be able to keep up with you on the winning all those games.
all I can say is if I can learn how to play defense, I will feel confident. But if I can, I got the number one offense with the number 31 ranked defense in the league in Legacy. I mean, that's I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah, no, he'll definitely be scary if you learn how to put any players on defense that can stop anything.
But until then, I gotta sit at the bottom of the playoff race. It's I don't know. That's a hard prediction.
What, did you give up 50 points 3 straight games at least?
I gave up 62 to Cool Breeze in a game that I scored 59 in because fucking Tyreek Hill had 6 receptions for 297 yards. I even gave up 31 to Bobby's Base Jets. I might go on a little bit of a rant here. I gave up 49 to the Saints. I gave up 31 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, led by Mayer, which isn't terrible, but it's like the Chargers are a defensive-based team. I mean, I know I don't have Derwin James right now, but that's one out of like 4 key players on my defense. I still have Chris Harris. I still have Joey Bosa. I still have Melvin Ingram. still have Desmond King. Like I don't really have an excuse as to why I am playing this piss poor defense right now. I finally locked up and held Miami to 3. That is a once in a lifetime defensive game for me. I don't know what it is. If I didn't have the offense I had, I would be last in this division easily. It's insane to me how horrible I am on defense. Sorry, I had to rant there. I don't say it too often, but I need to harp on myself here. I need to clamp up. It's inexcusable.
That KC game was ridiculous. Not only did each quarterback have at least 600 yards passing, both running backs had at least 100 yards rushing. Like, what? What the fuck?
Keenan Allen, 8 for 240. Hunter Henry, 4 for 114. Tyreek Hill, 6 for 291, not 297. Hardman, 6 for 134. Kelsey, 8 for 127. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, it's just, like, what do you do? Like, what the fuck?
8 touchdowns for Patrick Mahomes. That broke the record, right? Because it was still 7, right? I don't think anyone's broken that in real life.
I don't know the record. I mean, Herbert threw for 604 yards.
I'm pretty sure there's multiple quarterbacks tied at 7 in real life. So I don't think anyone's gotten 8 though. So I think that counts as the record.
It's embarrassing.
All right, who do you think's gonna come out of the AFC? You got any differences?
I mean, I can see Kush and Baltimore handling their division. I'm gonna stick with my prediction. I predicted that Kansas City would win the division before the year started. I'm gonna stick with that. The only shocker here is Miami, 5-2. I did not see this coming. I thought Bobby would scrape by with like an 8-8 or 9-7 division win and bounce in the first round, but I mean Miami looks solid. I guess you want to bring up the question that I mentioned to you earlier?
Yeah, it seems like a good time to do it. Yeah, so we're gonna ask is it more shocking that the Miami Dolphins are 5-2 currently, or that Grady and the Browns are 2-5? So I guess I'll go first.
Okay.
It's the Browns, so not shocking. No, okay. Okay, but actually though, this for Grady, 2-5 is probably the worst start I've ever seen him have. He has played some tough opponents. He has had a pretty tough schedule so far. His losses are to Trey in week 1, Mufasa week 2, Brian week 4 in a close game, Kush in week 5.
It's a brutal schedule. It's a very brutal schedule.
And he also lost to the Steelers, who is by 2 touchdowns. So that's a little bit of a shocker. The Steelers users only 3-4, but he has proved he can compete in this league. So I think it's definitely shocking, but judging by how hard his schedule's been, it's just seems a little bit unlucky that he lost to all the users that he had to face that are good, because I think he can compete with all the users that he faced so far. He's just in fact, he lost to Mufasa and then beat Mufasa last week, so he definitely is capable of competing with all of them. It just seems like the ball really hasn't been bouncing his way. And then going to the Dolphins, his first 3 games he went 3-0. All against teams with a combined current record of 4-15. So not too impressive, especially since a lot of them were really pretty close games. But then in week 4, he faced me, and he gave me my toughest schedule so far, or toughest game so far. Legit, he was ahead 17-7 in the first half. Um, if I think if he had any team that was better, and I couldn't just run the ball down his throat for the entire second half, I definitely would have lost that game. He was playing much better than me. He's definitely a legit user, I think. I was able to come back though, so he got an L from that. And then came back the next week, beat the Niners user, who's solid. And then in week 6, he beat Chef by 10 points, which is a really good win. That's probably his first win on the schedule that's like really solid and everyone would recognize. And then he comes back and he just gets demolished by you. So that was his first game this entire season that that wasn't even close. 50-3 you. Like, he just said the ball, he just really wasn't, he couldn't get anything going, and you were doing anything you wanted. So yeah, I think it's honestly, I think it's a shocker more that the Dolphins are 5-2, to be honest.
Really?
Because I think Grady's schedule is really tough. Even though he probably could have, you expect him to win a few of those tough games. If the ball is just not bouncing your way, then they can go either way when you're facing tough users. So I think it's more impressive that this Dolphins user that we never really heard of last Madden, I mean, he probably came in late in the cycle, but I think it's more impressive that he's come in and he's proved he can compete really well so far.
I'm going to have to disagree with you. I think it's a lot more surprising that Grady is 2-5 right now. I don't know if that's especially because I predicted Grady to actually make it to the AFC Championship before the season started. There's a lot of things that evolve around the start. Like, I believe, like, Grady admitted that in Madden, his term in Madden 20, it was good, but it wasn't great. He was consistently making the playoffs, and that was about it. He didn't make a Super Bowl last year. So I really thought that the way he played last year, he would come just absolutely fired up into this next Madden. He would come out blazing. Maybe you can excuse his week 1 loss against Baltimore. That loss against Cincinnati, did you watch that game?
I did not.
It was a rough loss. It was a crazy fourth quarter ending. I don't remember exactly how it ended. I know there was like a blocked PAT or some shit like that changed the outcome of the fourth quarter. Baker sold him in the game against Bryan, and Jarvis Landry dropped the game-winning touchdown. And then I think I would have agreed with you that it was more surprising that Miami is 5-2 had Grady not dropped his game against Pittsburgh. When Grady, and I mentioned this to you before we recorded, when Grady dropped that game against Pittsburgh, I immediately was like, okay, this is really surprising, because that Pittsburgh user, we don't know anything about him. He's new. He has a 3-4 record, and the team, I'll go to his schedule right now. I don't know who he's played or who he's lost to or beaten. Like, he took out the Giants week 1. He lost to Chef, beat the Texans. He got destroyed by Tennessee, destroyed by Philly. I mean, like, it's it was just really shocking to me that Grady dropped that game. I knew something was up. And I fully believe that Grady will bounce back. I honestly still believe that the Browns will make the playoffs. I think they will squeak in and make it. I truly believe that. I hope I'm right. Grady, you better prove me right if you're listening. I'm going to believe in you here. I think you can do it. But that's, saying all that doesn't take away from anything that Miami's done. And the key game for Miami here is that win against Chef. That's a big win. I mean, that's not playing teams that that have a combined record of 4-15. I mean, Chef is top tier. So that I think that game kind of solidified himself as a good user, a solid user in this league. As far as that last game goes, it's a very personal game for me. I took a shitty loss in Pandora earlier that day. So I just came into the game. I was super fired up. I knew I was struggling on defense, and I came out. I prepared heavily for that game. So I don't think that game really represents how Drew has played this season, and I think Drew will completely bounce back from that loss and continue to do good. So that's my take on that question.
I think that's definitely both points are pretty valid. Going to the point, Grady making the playoffs, he is 2-5, which is really tough to start from if he wants to make a run. But honestly, being in the AFC, I feel like if we look at any of these AFC teams, the rest of their schedules, it's like we're gonna say none of them really have an easy schedule because of how stacked the conference is. But for being in the AFC, the rest of his schedule is not too bad. He's got Lampard, who's not performing the best this week. Then he's got the Texans, who aren't doing too good. He's got the Brad, which will be a tough game. And he's got the Jaguars, who aren't doing too good. He's got Colton, who is doing good. And he's got Trey. And then he's got the Giants, who are struggling, but it's Calc, so it should be at least a somewhat tough game. And then he's got Bobby, who's struggling, but is a good user. And then he gets a Week 17 rematch versus the Steelers. So, realistically speaking, at 2-5, you can only really afford to get one more loss, probably, to make the playoffs.
You know what, though? The key game is the game that you and I are going to be announcing tonight. I think this game against Lampard is really going to separate, or not separate, but I think it's going to determine pretty much how the rest of the season goes, in a way. I think, if he gets this win, he's going to be confident. He's going to feel good. Walk into next week he's got a bye next week, and then he'll walk into his next game against Houston. He'll win that game, in my opinion, with my prediction. This game tonight against I don't know if I said Oakland, Las Vegas. This is a big game. I know both teams are struggling right now, but this is a very good game. It's a big game. If Grady can come out with a win tonight, I'm feeling pretty good about his chances. He plays Trey hard every single time. I'm sure he will beat Pittsburgh in Week 17. He'll clean up the mess, or the loss that he had the first time he played him. I think he can beat Brad, and I think he can beat Colton. So it's a very doable schedule for Grady, and I'm confident. I like him going like 9-7, 10-6 here.
Yeah, I mean, this game definitely is big for both users to get on the right track. Obviously, Lampard has to start picking it up so he can make make a wild card in his division, and then Grady. If Grady loses this game, then he really doesn't have any room for error, and he can't afford to lose against Brad. He can't afford to lose against Trey. So already, so yeah, this is kind of a must win. Every game going, uh, every game on the rest of his schedule is kind of a must win, putting yourself in a 2-5 position.
I mean, this is a big game tonight. I like that it's game of the week. I think it's a great selection for it.
Right, it's not immediately popping out at you because it's 2-5 versus 3-3, but these are two really good users that like just perennially have a really good reputation in this league. So it should be a really good game, I think. It better be a good game. We haven't been getting fucking these close games down to the wire.
We got a decent game between Banana Man and Jacob.
Yeah. Okay. But honestly, that was a pretty damn good game. It was really back and forth. Remember that? It was like,
yeah, it was good. It just
that was big swings back and
forth. We were exhausted.
Yeah. Not gonna do another triple header, guys. So double headers maybe.
We learned the hard way. As far as playoffs go, you're 6-0. You're at the top of your division. I think that'll stand. I think you will win this division. I think you have a pretty light schedule going forward. I think you will finish out 13-3, maybe 12-4. Maybe you accidentally drop a shitty loss. It happens to the best of us.
I think I'm gonna drop 4 games.
I mean, maybe. I'm not gonna read out your schedule, but you could you might drop one to Alex, maybe. We'll see. I think you'll lose to Brad. I think we can agree on that one. 13-3. 13-3.
I'll take it.
I would say the shitty loss that you would take, if any of them, it would be you might just like end up losing to the 0-7 Giants. That might be the one game that you drop. But moving forward, I'm gonna make a bold prediction here. I think Brad and the Philadelphia Eagles are gonna turn up and beat out Dallas for the division. If I'm looking at the schedule right now, they play each other this week. If Brad wins that game, he's only behind a game. He has to play Brian again, week 16, and then he does have a bit of a tough schedule. He's got to play you. He's got to play Elliott, Grady, and the Green Bay Packers. So he doesn't have like a cakewalk, but I think Philly will turn it around. They'll win that division. I think Dallas gets a solid 5-seed wild card. I like Elliott for the division. I think he'll beat out Kane. Kane hasn't seemed like he's been on his game too much this year. I don't know if it's just me, but it's been kind of an interesting ride for him. But I like that Saints team, and I like how Elliott's playing. He's playing with a fire. He's been talking a bit of shit in the chat as well. I know he had an exchange with Cool Breeze over like offensive. It was an offensive argument or something like that. But I like how Elliott's come out. So I think he'll win the division. I think Blaze and Kane will end up with a wild card spot. And then I think Nick is going to beat out Green Bay for the division. And I'm sure you can agree with me on this. As good as Prince has been playing, I think Nick will turn up with that Chicago Bears defense, and I think he will pull out a division win, probably with an 11-5 record, 10-6, and I think Green Bay will take that final wild card spot. So yeah, I have you, Dallas, Philly, Saints, Falcons, Bears, and Packers. That's my playoff prediction.
Yeah, it's pretty solid, I think. Um, uh, Green Bay has some pretty tough people on their schedule. He still has Nick, Nick twice solely, and Colton. I think he might drop a lot of those games. And the Bears, I don't think have quite as tough of a schedule. I think he'll be able to come back. He's only 2 games down, and he has 2 games against the Packers. So if he can win both those, I think he easily can come back in the division.
He's actually a game and a half out. 1.5 games. He's got 1 less win, but 2 more losses.
Ah, yeah. Wait, so you don't have Mo making the playoffs?
I don't have Mo making the playoffs.
Oh, man. What a shocker, guys. Keep voting for him for Dark Horse of the Year.
Sorry, Mo. You had a nice start there. But I don't see it. We'll see. He plays he's on a bye week right now. He plays Drew next week. I think that'll be a fun game to watch. We'll see how that goes. And I think he'll drop his game against you. He'll probably lose to Brad. He'll probably lose to Alex twice. I don't know. I don't
think
see
he'll
it,
lose to Alex twice?
I think so. Yeah. I do. I can't see it happening. Maybe
he doesn't have the toughest schedule. I mean, he's got the Bills and the Patriots who are struggling. 0-7 Giants, but obviously Cal can bring it back against any team he wants to, I think.
I love that Bobby's 1 win is against Mo. That makes me smile a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. Mo's I don't know. He's kind of a wild card, I guess.
Right, you don't know what to expect. It's a good team. The Cardinals are a very good team, so who knows? I mean, anything can happen. As of now, though, he's tied for second place with Alex. Yeah, I don't see Mo making it. What about you?
I mean, yeah, over Green Bay, who's just started too good, Kane, who's playing really good, and then Dallas and Philly are definitely going to take at least one wild card spot. Yeah, I'm not sure. He'll have to start balling out. Maybe once he gets Isaiah Simmons back from injury. We're gonna wrap it up. If you have any podcast topics you'd like us to talk about, let us know. Next time we'll be getting on the we'll be talking about Pandora, so get excited about that, and we'll catch you next time.
Peace.